Hello, and you're very welcome to Trim TV. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about climate action and what we're doing about it. Hello, back in 2019 we established the Meath Climate Academy, a way for citizens to be trained on climate action. And this next video tells you a little bit about that.
Climate change is happening, as we know. Local authorities have a key role in this transition and must be leaders in climate action and will be pivotal in promoting and encouraging climate action with the many citizens we serve. As you may be aware, the elected members of Meath County Council declared a climate and biodiversity emergency in July 2019.
Already climate change is the greatest challenge humanity has ever faced. We use fossil fuels to get us where we are today. There's probably nothing around us that doesn't have fossil fuels in it in some way. Probably most of us use fossil fuels to get here. And and we have to get off fossil fuels.
Every local authority in every sector had to produce a climate action plan by the 30th of September last year. So we were actually the first local authority in the country to provide training to elected members, so that's something we're quite proud of. Congratulations, you guys are the first people to actually be trained under the Meath Climate Academy, so I suppose that's a great achievement, and it's great to see such huge numbers here today as well.
But that language also is very much the same as the language we talk about our politics. So what can we do? What can our one vote do? One person's action combined with somebody else's action results in change. Really what people are trying to do is enhance their world at a global, literally at a global sense, and then that distills down to our own communities. And as local representatives, our communities are our business.
Firstly, we are both 6th class girls from Delete Girls National School. So we call this book Where Are You Mammy? And it tells the story of the devastating effects of climate change through the eyes of a koala.
Our website is www.whereareyoumammy.ie. 10% of the profits of this book are being divided between the Irish Wildlife Trust to support animals and climate action at home and the Bushfire Foundation.
A million species will be threatened with extinction by 2050 on our current trajectories. We also got a report not long before that, at the end of 2018, from the World Wildlife Fund and the Zoological Society of London, to say that the populations of animals around the world had declined by 60% since the 1970s.
There's a movement happening, and I think just having people in the room here today gives me that sort of sense that maybe there's actually a correct time to start doing this. So I'm feeling positive, I suppose, in that sense.
We have employees now walking out of their employers because they're not happy with what that company is doing or what that industry doing or isn't doing around climate action. You're seeing that when we had Amazon employees walk out, tech companies demanding more and writing open letters to newspapers demanding that their companies do more.
And I actually don't think that we can deal with climate change in isolation to lots of other issues. And I actually don't think climate change has anything got to do with just technology fixes. I think actually what we need to do, if we're serious about really tackling climate and the climate crisis, I would agree with Caroline, the narrative and the language needs to change, is much more about an attitudinal change.
The climate denier, and denial, it's not a river in Egypt, and we have groups of climate deniers at the moment, and I was looking at an American website over the last few days called Science Alert, and they actually grouped deniers into various groups, maybe crisis deniers who say there isn't a crisis, political deniers, looking even at some of the large fossil fuel companies spending huge amounts of money lobbying.
So I was 7, so 1985, right, 1985. I'm seeing an example of the level of gallivanting a family would have done. My father came home from his holiday in London. That's what happened. My father went on holidays on behalf of the rest of the family. Like that's sustainability. And even then he was visiting the sister in London. That was holidays back then.
And our approach, and my approach in general, is what I would call a flexitarian approach. So we're not going to be dictatorial here. I'm not going to say to everybody, you need to be vegan, you need to do this, you need to do that. We're all in a different situation. We all have our own lives to lead, but there are things that we can all do, small changes. So it's moving us all a little bit further down the sustainability curve, from Donald Trump with his Burger King and his private jet to Greta Thunberg. We're all somewhere along that scale.
I thought today was very positive. They had some fantastic speakers, really good speakers. It was very informative. I learned a lot of stuff.
What I really liked about it was, as it moved on, it went from the bigger picture, breaking it down to the individual day-to-day choices and the differences that you can make as a person, which I think with the climate change message is something that can get lost.
I thought the science, along with the kind of the human experience, I thought that was the great thing about the combination, was actually meeting people who were so interested in the topic, up on the stage, as it were, actually presenting and talking about their views, and that mix of people. The energy was just great, and then I thought the people coming along it was great to meet them as well, because it was great to get that connection.
The big takeaway from today is, with myself and my lifestyle and my family, is to make small, positive, sustainable steps in the right direction. Small steps that I can take control of now. And I suppose to actually embrace the leadership programme through Meath County Council and try get the message out there to others to influence.
Hello, before Christmas we ran a campaign last year with this little guy, the Climb Elf. You've heard of the elf on the shelf? Well, this is the Climb Elf on the ice shelf. And he helped us create awareness around sustainability and climate action on the run up to Christmas. And who knows, we might see him again this year. Our next video is one of our favourites called Pearls of Wisdom, where he collaborated with Age Friendly Ireland. Hello, my name is Caroline Corrigan and I'm the Climate Action Officer with Meath County Council. The Climate Action team, in partnership with the Meath Age Friendly team, is delighted to present our Pearls of Wisdom project. This initiative seeks to use wool crafting to portray scientific information about climate change. You may be familiar with the climate stripes produced by Ed Hawkins. This image, which highlights over 100 years of temperature data, shows clearly how our world is heating up, going from cool temperatures in blue to hotter temperatures in red. You can see just how hot the last few years have been, and indeed 2020 is already looking like it will be the hottest year on record. We are always looking for innovative and creative ways to engage with people on the climate crisis. During staying safe at home, we noted an increased interest in hobbies that many didn't have time for previously, such as baking, sewing, knitting or gardening. Hobbies that also have a positive impact on our mental health and well-being. We are asking knitters and crafters to create the climate stripes or their own version of the stripes by using sustainable wool, wool made from natural fibres or wool produced locally or using leftover wool. We don't want to limit creativity, so different colours or shapes could be used. The main objective is to show that change is happening. Our climate, globally and here in Ireland, is changing. Knitters, both young and old, are invited to create usable, brightly coloured pieces such as blankets and scarves. We intend to display each creation at a number of venues across the county to create awareness about climate crisis and to celebrate the great workmanship and skills of those involved. After this, it is our intention to donate these brightly coloured pieces to dementia and Alzheimer's groups whose clients have a need for such items. I look forward to seeing your wonderful creations. Hello, and now we're going to go to a quick weather forecast from the future. You're very welcome to Trim TV weather forecast on today, the 28th of September 2121. As you can see, the outlook is still bleak. We're on day number 271 of rain and flash flooding. Monsoon season has started quite early this year and is expected to last until mid-August of 21-22. People in Trim are advised to move to higher ground, if you can find higher ground. But there is some good news. Our climate crisis team here in Trim TV predict flood levels will decrease slightly by Christmas. Additionally, in other good news, our modelling predicts summer will occur between August 23rd to August 29th next year. Trim Tourism 2121. Céad Míle Fáilte, which means 100,000 welcomes. And Ireland is now the country with 100,000 islands, and all thanks to climate change. Why not visit Trim and go brown water rafting along the River Boyne? With regular flash flooding and dangerously high water levels, we guarantee it'll be an experience you'll never forget. Due to the severe pollution levels, people must have their typhoid vaccines up to date. If brown water rafting is not your sport, then why not take a gentler boat trip around the castle? But don't get too close, all that water has made the walls quite unstable. If you're feeling a bit more adventurous, you can take a scuba dive off underwater Trim. Explore the history of the below-water town and see the plastics our ancestors left behind. Trim Tourism 2121, an experience you'll never forget.
These are very exciting times as well as very challenging times. The climate question presents us with an opportunity to take a look at ourselves, to take a look at our communities and how we are doing things, how we've traditionally done them, and how we may be able to revise how we do those things. Looking at our communities through the lens of the Sustainable Development Goals allows us to look at what we're doing, to categorise what we're doing, and to recognise what we're doing correctly. Also, it presents us with an easy index of how we need to change what we're doing, to look at how we may do things differently, how things may have drifted away from their original intent, and how we can now, by framing them through the lens of the SDGs, present them in a very visual way, a very understandable way, and most importantly in a very relevant way to the communities across our local authority area. Working with the other elected members and the Climate Action Forum and the Climate Action team, we feel in Meath County Council that we are at a very exciting time as well as a very challenging time. What we need to do as individuals, as communities and as regions, nationally and internationally, is really face up to what our responsibilities and congratulate ourselves on what we're already doing right, identify our successes, reward our successes and present our challenges. The beauty of looking at the world through the Sustainable Development Goal lens allows us to see what we're already doing correctly, what we need to, and to reward, recognise and reward those successes, as well as presenting the challenges in a very relevant way, in a way that makes sense to people and a way that takes it to their front door of the communities. As well as understanding the global challenge, there is a local challenge, and by working with organisations and institutes across Europe and across the globe, we can find solutions to these problems and then we can deliver those solutions. As an elected member of my community, it is important that I can understand the challenges that the climate question is posing. I can understand how we can start to frame the discussion within our communities, how we can take the theoretical and make it the practical. One of the biggest challenges that we will face as elected members, particularly in local government, is to take the solutions that are presented to us and deliver them to our localities, to encourage the people who we know who have voted for us, who may not have voted for us on an environmental ticket, and how we can try to encourage those people to see that this is their problem. There are many people working very, very hard to within communities, and we need to add to that chorus. And that, I think, is something that the URBACT project and others right across Europe, we can take the learnings from those, take the expertise from you guys, and deliver those solutions to our own communities.
I've been somewhat fortunate to have had a good idea of sustainable development for some time now, but what this URBACT project has allowed, which I think is one of the beauties of it, is that it's looking at the locality. It's looking at how we localise sustainable development through the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think that's the real beauty about it, because this is an opportunity for local groups, for local actors to come together and to come up with ideas, practical ideas of how those Sustainable Development Goals that can operate and work in their own community. For a long time, I guess, when people think about the SDGs, they think about these lofty ideas that are not really relevant to themselves, to their own lives and to the community. But this is what this gives us an opportunity to do, the URBACT project. It allows us to come up with those practical measures that we can implement in our own places, our own towns, villages, and to see real improvements. And I'm really looking forward to what comes from this. I'm really looking forward to continue to see us work together with the different groups that are in our communities. And I guess my big ambition is that from this, other localities, other communities, other towns, villages and even cities can see the processes that we've put in place that have allowed us to come up with our ideas and then to refine those and to decide on which ones we want to act upon. And hopefully then for them to see successes that hopefully we will see ourselves in our own community. And that for me is something I'm really enthusiastic about and really exciting to see move go on into the future.
There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and part of my job as a local representative is to try to make the public aware that they do have a role in the remediation of climate change. Climate change is we're in crisis at the moment, and it really is something that I suppose people feel that they're powerless to do anything about. So part of my role in highlighting the 17 Sustainable Development Goals is to try to make sure that people don't feel powerless and that they do feel empowered. Behind me here is a wind farm, plenty of wind turbines here behind me, and this is part of a wind turbine complex in Wexford, and it's clean, renewable energy being produced, and it's hitting Sustainable Development Goal 7, which is affordable clean energy. I've also tried to highlight various different things in my area. We do have a concentration of solar farm planning permissions at the moment, which is really, really exciting. The other one is, I suppose, Sustainable Development Goal 12. That's one that we highlight consumerism and you know, make people think about what they consume and how they're going to get rid of their waste and things like that. Other ones then are life on land and life at sea. What you eat, how you purchase it, where it's grown, the air miles on it, that type of thing. So there's lots and lots of things that we can do to try and make sure that we do hit those 17 SDGs, and we try and make sure that we leave this planet in better condition for future generations.
And that's the end of Trim TV. We hope you enjoyed it, and as we have number SDG 17 here, we're very much looking forward to our continuing partnership with the 19 cities.